Hello and welcome back to the Concept Checkup. The point of Concept Checkup is to dive into the Warframe forums or other source, look for a community-made Warframe concept, and talk about it. For the purpose of Concept Checkup, I will use my custom-built evaluating method known as AS. Without further ado, let's begin the checkup. For today's checkup we have Arma, the Knight Warframe. Arma was created by Shin Nagature on the Warframe forums, and is designed to be a melee-focused Warframe, with a bit more emphasis on taking and dealing damage. Arma possesses above-average health, average energy capacity, above-average armor, below-average shield capacity, and below-average sprint speed. Arma currently does not have a passive, so we'll go ahead and jump straight to his first ability, Gore. Upon activation, Arma dashes forward and impales a single target, ragdolling them forward, and dealing puncture damage. Arma also deals damage in a cone-shaped zone in front of him, knocking down and dealing puncture damage to enemies within range for 10 seconds. Additionally, Gore's damage is multiplied by a factor of 2 based on how much health damage Arma has taken. Although it's a bit known that puncture isn't exactly the best status effect in the game, we can't assume the true value of this ability since it does not have any solid damage numbers on it. Regardless, Gore essentially functions as Arma's primary damage-dealing ability, similar to Atlas's Landslide. Given that Arma is capable of dealing greater damage the lower health he has, it's implied that he would benefit from building from as much damage reduction as possible, especially with adaptation. Assuming that Gore is affected by power strength, the damage from Gore would increase exponentially assuming that Arma's health is low enough. In a strange way, this encourages Arma to consistently stay at or near low health, which I imagine wouldn't happen when playing with a random public squad. Arma's second ability is Sanguine Spear. Arma impales a single target, dealing massive puncture damage. If killed, the enemy is ragdolled. If not killed, the enemy is slowed by 30% for a limited time, and has 90% of its max health drained and transferred to Arma over time. The health drain stops once the enemy has been slain. The enemy can also be killed with a melee weapon to cause them to explode, knocking down nearby enemies with blast damage. Sanguine Spear is essentially a different version of Garuda's Blood Altar. Again, it's rather difficult to determine its potential or even if it's stronger or weaker than Garuda's Blood Altar, even if Sanguine Spear is limited to only one cast. For all we know, it could have insane range at the cost of having a lower heal. Arma's third ability is Void Hand. Arma roots himself in place, casting a shield in front of him that catches all incoming projectiles. Void Hand drains energy over time while active, and it remains active until Arma runs out of energy or manually cancels it. Once reactivated, Arma throws back all caught projectiles in a target direction, dealing damage. It might sound a bit silly, but Void Hand reminds me a bit of the Vortex Shield ability from Titanfall, with the biggest difference being that Arma is unable to move while Void Hand is active. Given that no further information on Void Hand has been given, it's safe to assume that Void Hand does not amplify the damage he returns or apply some form of debuff, such as a stun or stagger. With that in mind, I don't see Void Hand as a very practical ability to use, especially when several forms of protection or damage reduction already exist, such as Limbo's Cataclysm, Trinity's Blessing, or Nidus's Parasitic Link. If anything, Void Hand doesn't sound very fun, let alone useful, outside of maybe defensive-based game modes, because even though Arma blocks all incoming damage, he loses the ability to move, which makes him the weird defensive version of Mace's Peacemaker, and that's an ability that I don't think has any practical purpose, simply because of movement. If Arma could deal significantly increased damage, then I could see Void Hand being used. Otherwise, not really. Arma's fourth ability is Blitz. Activating Blitz causes Arma to constantly drain energy and health over time, and in exchange increasing his sprint speed, knocking down all enemies who touch him, and causing all attacks against Arma to be reflected and amplified 120%. Given that Blitz constantly drains energy and health, I'm going to assume that it's a channel ability. This would mean that heal over time effects such as Renewal, Blood Altar, or Arma's own Sanguine Spear likely will not work while Blitz is active, but instant powers such as Trinity's Blessing still might, unless otherwise directed. Even though Arma possesses relatively durable stats, I don't think that having an energy drain on top of health drain is a good idea for a self-buff ability. Although that would certainly help him deal higher damage with Gore, At higher levels the possibility of death becomes a more tangible problem, especially considering that Arma lacks any true damage reduction. Sure, he has heals, damage reflection, and void hand, but that's really going to do anything for him, because if Blitz is a channeled ability, then his heal won't work while it's active. Even though he can activate void hand while Blitz is active, he loses the ability to move, so having void hand active is almost pointless to begin with. Additionally, even though Arma gains damage reflection, which I assume will be affected by power strength, it's still not going to reduce damage he takes, which while it may increase the damage from gore, it won't do anything to help his survivability. With that in mind, here are Arma's scores. Although he's intended to be a counterpart to Oberon in terms of theme, Arma's abilities seems to be either not meshing well together or just counterintuitive. Because of that, his potency as a Warframe is lower than it should be. For my personal thoughts, while I do find the theme of a Knight Warframe to be a nice one, I don't think this particular iteration was executed very well. Aside from adding in finalized stats, Arma would likely be a much better Warframe if Blitz gave him innate damage reduction, didn't drain both health and energy, and if puncture damage wasn't the only status effect in his kit. Otherwise, the concept looks cool, but that's about it. Thank you for watching.